Hey, Jeff Joslin here, Joslin Mixed Martial Arts. I'm back with another drill that's going to help you keep your elbows in when you're striking. And again, just to review why it's so important to keep your elbows in. If you flare your elbow, your opponent can see that motion before you punch, and they're going to be able to react and counter or at least defend your strike. Another thing is you lose a ton of power, you start arm punching. You ever see those guys in MMA, they're swinging like crazy and they hit the person right in the face and the guy's still standing? You know, that's because they're arm punching, they're not using their body behind their punch. And lastly is your elbow's got to be in to protect those ribs. You don't want to take a shot in the ribs, you don't want to take a shot in the liver, because those can be fight-ending shots. This drill here, what's cool about it is you can do it by yourself. All you need is a wall. You're going to be able to practice by yourself anytime you want. You don't have to depend on a coach. Maybe you don't even have a coach yet. Anytime, very simple drill, but it's very effective in allowing you to assess your skills and make sure that you're keeping those elbows in. So let's check it out. You're going to get in your fighting stance with the wall beside, we can start with the cross, with the wall beside your elbow, very tight, very close, but I don't lean in the wall. I keep my balance like I'm on my fighting stance, chin down here, just like I'm in a fight, just like I'm doing my shadow boxing. Now when you punch, remember the details. You don't want to turn your hand until the last 10% of extension. You're going to turn your body. Now I have to turn my heel. Obviously all the details apply for the regular cross. So from here I'm going to stretch out, and the last 10% I'm going to turn my hand over. You notice my elbow still didn't touch the wall. And then I'm going to turn my hand back, and then I'm going to bring it back to my fighting stance. And the whole time my elbow does not touch the wall. So I'm going to extend and turn and punch and bring it back to my stance. Now it's very important that you don't try to punch away from the wall to compensate for your elbow sticking out. You need to punch very close to the wall. At the end my hand is just as close as my elbow is to the wall. You see, very tight. Now, the mistakes you're going to run into is if you start to turn your hand at all a little bit too early, you're going to catch. Right off the bat, you'll notice, look, man, I have a bad punch. Okay, so you're going to have to turn a little bit later. But sometimes you're going to turn now and still hit. But if you turn in the last 10%, look, it doesn't touch. Now, you might run into a problem of bringing the hand back and hitting the wall, or even turning it a little bit too late, touching the wall on the way back. So you need to turn it right away and then bring it back. Now the key is as you get better, it has to be faster. But to start, go slow, turn, bring it back, and never touch the wall with your elbow. All the mechanics of the cross and back. And then as you get better, see, you don't hear me touching the wall here. Okay, if you touch the wall, be careful when you're doing it fast. Make sure you have the technique and the drill down, because you're going to really catch the wall with your elbow. So here I turn, and that way I don't catch the wall, and I know my elbow's in. Okay, so that's how you practice the cross. Now we're going to get into the jab next. Now my favorite punch, the jab. I'm going to show you how to keep your elbow in on that. So important. I think it's honestly more important to keep your jabbing elbow in, because if you turn it, you can get knocked out with a straight right over the top. You lose so much power. You can see your punch coming. You have to make sure you do this one perfect. So work this drill over and over again. Don't need anybody's help, just the wall. Again, we get in the fighting stance against the wall, elbows in, talking on the cell phone, all the mechanics that I've shared in some of the past articles, past videos. Basic stance. We're going to work the jab now. Now, we want to make sure we put our elbow right against the wall, but it's not touching. I want to have maybe a very small space between my elbow and the wall. Okay? So if your fighting stance already is elbows out a bit, when you do this drill, you're going to be like, oh, already hitting the wall, already failing on the drill. So you need to make sure that your arm is vertical, up and down. Okay? Chin down. And you notice, just a quick detail is to keep this away from your face. Keep it in front of your ear instead. Okay? And that's the optimal position here. So from here, now you're going to get in your stance, bend your knee just like you're fighting, just like you're shadow boxing, just like you're hitting the heavy bag, and you're going to extend your arm. Now, the whole idea is I don't want to touch my elbow on the wall. If I touch my elbow on the wall, that means I did the punch incorrectly. So I want you to extend the punch and working on that principle of getting 90% extended, and then you're going to turn the palm over and make the connection here. So you hit him in the face, or even if you miss, it doesn't matter, and then you need to turn it back right away and bring it back. Now you're going to run into trouble when you turn your hand too early or even halfway, so you need to turn in the last 10%. Okay, and then you can also run into trouble once again by bringing it back without turning it, so you got to turn it right away and bring it back. So you're going to start off slow and get that motion. You're going to get your body is going to get used to keeping that elbow in, and it's just repetition over and over again. Chin down, all the details, but we're focusing mainly on keeping the elbow in and avoiding touching that wall. It's important that we don't punch away from the wall, because if I punch away from the wall, I can stick my elbow out and I'm fine. Okay, I need to punch super close. So if you look, the wall's going to be here at the end, and my hand's going to be here. So it's very close and back. Okay, so it's here and back. And as you get better, it's faster. If I do it fast and incorrectly first, you're going to hurt yourself. Okay, so be careful. When I do it fast and properly, my elbow doesn't touch the wall. And I'll even do this drill myself, just when I've been off striking maybe a week or two, I'll get by the wall and just to make sure my elbow's in. Maybe my coach isn't here today. Maybe you don't have a coach yet. Just work on keeping your elbow in. You can do reps of 20, 30, 50 of these. Do them before your training, after your training. Again, on your jab side and your cross side, and it's going to pay off big time. And again, giving you more power, more speed, less predictability, and more defense, which is very important for you new guys. So there you go, a great drill that's going to help you keep your elbows in, hit with more power, defend yourself a little bit better, especially in the body area, and not telegraph those punches. Do that drill over and over again, and it's going to pay off big time in your sparring, but always be conscious of it even when you're hitting the bags, even when you're doing your shadow boxing, when you're working on the double-ended bag. Anytime you're training punches, be conscious of keeping those elbows in at all times, and it's going to help you out tremendously. Have fun.